Hi YouTube, my name's Sam. I'm a Brit living in Cologne in Germany, and this is the first time I've ever made a YouTube video, but I am currently training to become a teacher, and when I started out trying to find some information about how this would be possible in Germany, I couldn't really find much, and on YouTube I couldn't find anything, so I thought to help others I would share my experiences with you. So, like I said, I'm a Brit. I'm originally from Bristol, and I've been living in Cologne for 5 years now. I originally studied French and German at the University of Manchester, and after graduating in 2012, decided to move to Cologne for a job and working as a translator and proofreader for a company, and worked there for 4 years full-time, and then decided I might like to go into teaching. So I started training about a year ago, and I'm also still working, so doing this alongside. And yeah, basically there are 2 ways to become a teacher in Germany, and I'm talking about a secondary school teacher. So the first way you can do it is by being a so-called Quereinsteiger, which basically means that you go directly to the state and apply for teaching positions at schools where they wouldn't mind having someone who's sort of a freelancer, I suppose. It's actually quite a difficult way to become a teacher in Germany, because you have to find a position on your own, and also once you have found a position, the money isn't as good as a normal, so to say, a normal teacher. You usually don't get paid during the school holidays, and there isn't as much job security, so you can't have this Verbeamtung, so this civil servant status that most teachers will have in Germany. And as maybe some of you will know if you live in Germany, each of the Bundesländer has a slightly different education system. So if you want to teach in NRW, where I'm living, North Rhine-Westphalia, then basically the short of it is you can only ever teach in one Bundesland, and to change is quite complicated. Anyway, that's the first option. I didn't go for that option because for me it's something I want to do long term, and as I said, the money isn't as good, the job security isn't as good, you can't be a civil servant, and it's quite difficult to find a position. So I decided to go for the second option, which unfortunately involves redoing some of my degree. So as I said, I already have a bachelor's degree in French and German, did quite well, got a 2-1, but unfortunately the German system is quite complicated when it comes to teaching. So in the UK you would tend to do a PGCE after you've done your bachelor's degree, but in Germany it doesn't quite work like that. So in Germany they have recently changed from the previous diploma system to a bachelor and master's system, which at first sight would seem to be a great progression, because that would then seem similar to the British system, but unfortunately that's not quite the case. So to be a teacher in North Rhine-Westphalia, you need to have a Bachelor of Education, which has to have 2 subjects. So you can, in the UK I think you can only teach, you can just be a teacher of history or geography. In Germany you have to have 2 subjects, and then you have to do a Master of Education, and then you would do your Referendariat, so your teacher training. So I'm doing French and English, and I think the degree title was a Bachelor of Education with English and French, and then you also have a minor subject which is pedagogic, so that's the theory of education, which you do alongside. Typically a bachelor's degree in education would take 6 semesters, but most people need a bit longer than that, because you also have to do 2 placements at schools that you do in between your semesters, and then if you are training to become a teacher of languages like myself, then you would have to do a semester abroad, and also Latin if you want to be a French teacher, you need Latin. You used to need it for English, but they've just got rid of that, fortunately, but not for French. So you have to fit that in as well. And then you would do a Master of Education, which typically takes 4 semesters, so 2 years. And then you do your Referendariat, which is, so in the Masters as well, one of those 4 semesters is the so-called Praxis semester, which is at a school. Unfortunately, all the placements are unpaid during your studies. And then once you've done your Masters, then you do the Referendariat, which is 18 months at a school. And I think 1 day a week you go to a college and they give you some sort of assistance as well to go alongside your training. So you would be teaching, not full time, but you would be teaching. And once you finish that, then you are a teacher. An important thing to say is that so the bachelor's and master's together, that then counts as your first Staatsexamen. So the grade from your bachelor's and your master's gets put together, and that becomes your grade for your erste Staatsexamen. And then your Referendariat, after you finish that, you then take another exam, and which is invigilated by the state. And that will be your zweite Staatsexamen, which will give you another grade, and then they put the 2 grades together, and with that grade, that's the grade that you then use in your applications when you apply for a full-time teaching position. So it's quite complicated. One thing to say about applying to university here is it is very bureaucratic, and the few other Brits that I found just by chance at the University of Cologne, which is where I'm trained to become a teacher, also had the same similar problems to me. It's very difficult to find out the information about applying, because even though the website seems quite particularly, or I mean just for this university I'm saying, seems quite snazzy, and you can find a lot of the information in English. I mean, not a problem for me because I speak German too, but it was very bewildering at the beginning. And one thing to remember is that for each of your subjects, they are completely separate. So when I studied in Manchester, there was a student service centre that you went to, or that you could go to for advice, and they would help you with the whole application process if you had any questions. But here it's not like that at all. So I have the Department of English, where I'm doing my English degree, and you have to apply to each department separately. So I had to apply to the English department, the French department, the department responsible for Bildungswissenschaften, so the educational part of my degree, and then those 3 subjects were then, my application was then processed by the Zentrum für Lehrerbildung, which is another place, and that's where my Prüfungsamt is, so they will issue me with my degree certificate at the end. So it is quite bureaucratic, and not much is done online. Everything seems to be done on paper. You have to go to, the thing that I found difficult was because I was still working full-time, trying to find out the information, and the office hours are not very practical. So it'll be for 1 or 2 hours a week in the morning, and also I found that you would go to one place and they would send you to another, and because there isn't one place that's entirely responsible for your application, you're kind of running around and being sent from place to place, which was quite frustrating at times. But I managed to do it, and if you have any questions about applying, then I'll probably do a separate video for that, because that's a whole different category on its own. But one thing I was going to say is that if you have a degree like I do, so this is my 2nd degree, you don't have to start from scratch. So I was hoping that with the new bachelor and master's system that I would directly be able to start the master's, because I have a French and German degree. But I was told that because I didn't have English and I want to become an English and French teacher, I had to study English, which, although makes sense in some aspects, because just because you're a native speaker doesn't then mean that you're able to be a teacher of that language, Obviously, English at the University of Cologne is mainly geared towards native speakers of German, for whom English is a second language, whereas I'm a native speaker. So what you can do, which is what I've done, is you can go to each department with your degree and you can ask them to consider recognising some of your modules from your first degree so that they can give you a grade for that, and you don't then have to do that module as part of the degree at, in my case, Cologne University. So again, that involves going to each subject separately. It's also all on paper. It takes quite a long time. You have to get an appointment, but it is well worth it. So, I mean, for French, they recognised over 50% of my French degree, because obviously I have a French degree, but their argument was I had done it in English and not in German. So I had to do some of the translation courses from French to German, which made sense, but yeah. And for English, I didn't have to do a lot of the speaking modules, but again, for English, I only got 2 modules recognised, so I had to do about 80% of the course, like everyone else. But which is frustrating at times because I find it quite easy, and I mean, some of it's very interesting, but the other English people that I know at the university, they couldn't get out of it, and I mean, rightly so in some ways, because, you know, I didn't know that much about English grammar and, you know, various other linguistic stuff, so so I suppose that was good in some ways. So now I'm 2 semesters in, and hope to finish the bachelor's degree in 1 year's time. So I'm hoping to have finished it in 4 semesters as opposed to 6. And yeah, I hope that this video is helpful to others hoping to break into the teaching profession in Germany, so to say. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. And yeah, let me know what you think, any comments below. And yeah, I hope to perhaps make another video maybe about how to apply and just my general experience of studying in Germany. And but I'd highly recommend it. I did my placement, my second placement back in September at a school in Germany, and I really enjoyed it. And yeah, so that's probably another thing to say, is when you decide which, if you want to go through the degree route, then you have to decide which type of school you would like to teach at, because then that will change the degree that you do. So, for example, I'm doing Gymnasium Gesamtschule, which is Sekundarstufe 1 und Sekundarstufe 2, so you can teach Abitur, and that then means that you do different modules, slightly in more depth, because you're going to have to teach that sort of level, that higher level, and whereas if you want to teach Realschule or at a Berufsschule, then you would do a different degree, you would follow a different degree program, and that would mean that you do different modules. So, for example, the modules that I do for English are specifically for people doing Lehramt Gymnasium, and the people that are doing English to teach at a Realschule, they're a completely different campus to us. They have completely different lectures and completely different professors. So that also has a difference. And it also makes a difference on the grade that you need to apply. So Gymnasium is seen to be the highest level, so you need a higher grade to be able to apply. But anyway, if people are interested, then I'm happy to do another video on how to apply, but I just thought I forgot to mention that. So yeah, let me know what you think, and yeah, thanks for watching. Okay, bye!